Box office top 10 at 13. Well, hang on. Actually, before we get there, Pluribus, which is on Apple TV.
Oh, fantastic.
Which obviously doesn't feature in the movie chart. But we got a very, very challenging and interesting email from listener Dan.
Okay.
Dear Mark and Simon, I thought about trying to come up with a witty combination of your names for you, but because, as you will have gathered by the end of this email, we are all one, it seemed a rather pointless exercise.
Okay.
Loved hearing your take on Pluribus. I'm only one episode in, but there were no real spoilers, and there's so much to unpack. The show is a sharp, layered satire, funny, gripping, and centered on a profound question. Mark suggested most viewers would side with Carol, and yes, that's the usual narrative, the lone heroine against the system. But I suspect and hope that this is being flipped, because I'm firmly with the Hive mind, which is basically, if you haven't seen it, that's what happens to like everyone else in the world.
Everyone except 11 people.
To me, says Dan, the show asks, what would you choose, ego or universal consciousness, the self or the whole, individual suffering or collective bliss, the drop of water or the ocean? If universal consciousness is everything, then there's no other sending DNA codes, just us trying to connect with ourselves. It echoes the Eastern concept of non-duality. Reality as one interconnected whole, where the separate self is an illusion and enlightenment comes from dissolving that illusion. So yes, I'm on the side of enlightenment. It's a bold argument for primetime TV with layers to explore. Western religion is rooted in duality, man and God as separate. Eastern thought says we are all God, we just don't know it yet. Politically, it feels like a choice between rampant capitalism, self-interest, greed, and true socialism, government of and by and for the people. Heaven on earth, if you think about it. I hope the hive mind wins. I think a certain Mango Mussolini would hate it. He's not even going to start it, is he? Say hi to Jason. I used to play football with him in a team called the Old Rums. Motto, dignity at all times. Down with disgusting misogynistic Nazis, but remember, we are all one. We are the world, etc. That's Dan. Who plays in a football team with a motto? No, to which the answer is only particularly educated people would play in a football team with a motto. So I think that's interesting, and I disagree completely because, yes. Anyway, what do you think of that?
Well, I think what's fascinating in this is what the email sort of struck is we don't know where it's going to go, because what I was saying about people will the way in which it's set up originally, you are set up to side with Carol, but we are now 3 episodes in, and the episode's terrific. Is it 3 or 4 so far? It's however many we've watched. It's there, and they're really, really great. And the thing that keeps happening is that Carol's individuality keeps having disastrous consequences. And despite the fact that everyone talks like a telephone operator and, hi, we just want you to be happy, Carol. And it is very kind of, come and play with us forever. The program is working because it's not closing any doors. It is all the time raising exactly that question, the question that you posed in that email about, is it, individual suffering or united? But I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And there is a conversation in one of the episodes, I think the most recent episode, in which she realizes that she can ask somebody what her wife thought of her novel. It's
the most recent one.
And it's that just from a piece of writing point of view, it is one of the best written. I mean, you're a writer, and I think it's one of the best written scenes I've seen in a long time.
The whole hive mind thing is so fascinating because so Dan obviously finds it quite attractive.
Yeah.
And for me, it's terrifying because even though they're all smiley, everyone is the same. There is obviously no individuality. So therefore, it doesn't matter who you talk to. They all think the same, sound the same, think the same things. And so that means there are no wars, there's no fighting, no nastiness. But I'm still not that attracted to it.
No, me neither. But I think that the thing that I like about the program is it keeps sort of prodding you and going, but why? What is the thing that you are attracted to when every single time Carol does something, she ends up throwing a hand grenade through a window?
Yeah, I would say, Dan, move to Denmark. You'll find that it's and speaking of Scandi, although this is Dan from Finland, and as we've established many times, Finland is not Scandinavia. Because at number 13, it's Sisu, right? The new one, which is Sisu Road to Revenge. Okay, in America, it's number 6, but it's 13 here. So Dan in Finland says, Dear Sisu and Susudio, which I quite like.
Very good.
LTL and FTE, writing in regarding the politics in Sisu 2, which you were wondering about in last week's review.
Yeah.
I think that the real political story is not what's in the movie, but rather the movie itself. Consider this. In 1986, Rennie Harlin made a movie called Born American. It was banned by the Finnish Film Classification Board for being anti-Soviet after the Soviet ambassador pressured the board. 40 years later, Jalmari Helander makes a movie where Soviet soldiers are killed left and right, including with a missile to the head, and nobody in Finland blinks an eye except when laughing. That is the political story right there. I liked the first Sisu movie a bit more than the follow-up, but it was still great fun. Rennie Harlin continues making bad movies in Hollywood, but I'll be a Harlin apologist till the end. Thanks to him, we now have better directors like Jalmari Helander. Tickety-tonk, down with the pressers wherever they oppress. Down in Finland. I love having correspondence from Finland about a Finnish movie.
That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. My only correspondence about Sisu Road to Revenge, which I really enjoyed, was I got an email from the film company saying, can we quote this on the poster? Insane slapstick violence. You absolutely can.
Make sure to watch this week's Take Ultra for some of the more forcefully expressed views on Sisu 2, who disagree with Dan, I think.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, apparently the film is Russophobic. Anyway, these opinions and others to be expressed in Take Ultra.
Did he ever hit with Atmosphere?
I think that was him. No, that was Joy Division, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, at number 10 is Begonia.
Yeah, which I like, although it is my least favourite Yorgos Lanthimos film.
The next 4 movies are in our 10, but not in America. Okay. Number 9, Jujutsu Kaisen Execution.
As we explained last week, I haven't seen it. It is a dark fantasy feature compilation about which I know nothing at all.
Number 8, A Paw Patrol Christmas.
Does what it says on the tin.
Number 7 is Christmas Karma.
So this is the Gurinder Chadha film. There was an interesting thing that the film's had very, very bad reviews. I saw it and I'm not a fan. But Charles Gant, who is the kind of great box office expert, did a thing, was talking about it and was talking about how its box office is interesting because clearly the sort of the audience it's playing to are audiences that are not in any way affected by critical responses. And I think the comparison has been made with like the audience of Nativity, because the Nativity movies got really, really terrible reviews, but took money. Yeah. So this is now in its second week in the chart. I think it was number 6 last week. So it's holding its place in there. It'd be very interesting to see whether it holds its place in the weeks leading up to Christmas, because we are now officially in the Christmas corridor, as it were, or whether this is it, whether it's a 2-week wonder.
Yeah, you reminded me then of when We Will Rock You opened in the West End, the musical based on all the Queen songs, and Ben Elton had worked on that, and the critics universally hated it.
Yeah,
and it ran for years, absolutely years, because I know you talk about things being critic proof, but that was clearly one of them.
Yeah.
Maybe artistic. I haven't seen it, but it just absolutely packed out the houses. And all the critics.
The thing I remember about We Will Rock You is the picture of Robert De Niro with Brian May's guitar, because Robert De Niro was one of the producers or investors, and it was him with the red special looking really weird.
Number 6 is The Choral,
which I think is okay. I wasn't crazy about it, but I thought it was decently done. But we had a really wonderful email from somebody who saw it on Remembrance Day, and it really was made all the more powerful by that.
Number 3 in Canada and America, it's Predator Badlands, number 5 here.
Just a disappointment for me, because after Prey, which I thought was so good because it was so stripped down and so kind of, it's a very, very different kind of movie. I thought this was fine, but it's definitely a sort of 12A certificate romp. I've got no problem, incidentally, with the thing about the Predator is now the good guy. That's absolutely fine. You have to do something with sequels that's interesting. It wasn't really for me, although, as I said, in the screening that I was in, a number of critics said, that was great fun and really loved it.
UK number 4 is Nuremberg.
Who knew that Russell Crowe, who on that poster of Russell Crowe is Hermann Goering, you go, no, Absolutely not. Not in a month of Sundays. And then he's actually good. I think it's one of his best performances.
It's number 8 in America. The Running Man is at number 3.
I'm still sore about the fact that The Running Man was kept off the top spot last week by less than £1,000, because Now You See Me, Now You Don't literally just pipped it to the post. I think The Running Man's a very good adaptation of that Stephen King story. I spoke to Kim Newman yesterday, and somebody was asking Kim about it, because obviously Kim is kind of the authority on all this. And Kim said, yeah, The Running Man is definitely an example of a book that was written in a weekend.
I think Stephen King said it was about a week. Quite astonishing.
Wrote it really fast.
I'm very, very jealous as I near the 1.5 year mark for my new book. Number 2 here, number 2 in America as well, is Now You See Me, Now You Don't.
But you'll wish you hadn't.
And number 1 here, and number 1 over there is Wicked for Good,
which has had an absolute record-breaking opening. I think it's the biggest musicals opening. And despite the fact that it got quite lukewarm reviews from other countries, I liked it very much. I was kind of on board. And then afterwards, somebody said to me, I was in a screening, somebody said to me, "Oh God, I was surprised that you were the person that liked Wicked for Good." I went, "What, do other people not like it?" I said, "Well, no, the reviews have been kind of quite sniffy." But no, it's done Titanic business. But then again, of course it would, because it's the second half of a movie that was a huge hit. I think that that it's being criticised as a sort of standalone feature, but it's not a standalone feature. It is part 2 of the part 1 that we had this time last year. And I believe that people are going to see the 2 movies back to back. And I think that's really what you need to do to appreciate it.